Alternative energy Renergen just listed on the JSE's AltX this morning. I'm joined by the company's chief executive, that's Stefano Marani. He's here to discuss the plans for the company going forward. Stefano, congratulations once again. Before we even talk about why you decided to list now Renergen, who are you? What is it that you do?
Great. Good morning, and thank you very much for having me. Yes, exciting morning this morning. Got to beat the drum at the JSE, which was very cool. So what we are is a special purpose acquisition company. We're the first primary listed SPAC, or special purpose acquisition company, in South Africa. And the intention is that you bring a SPAC to market, basically raising capital from investors. Now we're a listed shell, and the intention of the shell is to go out and to make investments in the alternative energy space. And that'll be both in South Africa and in the broader context of sub-Saharan Africa.
Okay, so why the decision to come and list now?
Well, look, aside from the fact that alternative energy, or at least energy security as a whole, is very topical, and we discovered this after we actually began the process, the amount of demand and certainly the media interest that we got since we made the SENS announcement last week has been incredible. But look, aside from the timing of the market, as an organization and as a board, we felt that this is the best opportunity to come to market. There are some fantastic opportunities available on the continent, and I believe that we now have first mover advantage.
You were able to raise 74 million rand ahead of the listing. Who put money in there? Who are some of your investors?
So we've got some big blue chip investors: Mazi Capital, Sanlam, BCI. So between them, I think they have the majority of the listing. But we got some very big institutions backing us on this one, because they're of a similar mindset. They believe that alternative energy is the space to be in right now.
Where are these opportunities? You mentioned South Africa and sub-Saharan Africa too. Just give us more color on that.
Yeah, sure. So as part of our listing process, we identified a short list of a pipeline that we're currently observing. One is a natural gas play, and that's a little bit closer to home. That's actually in South Africa. In addition to that, we are looking at a hydroelectric opportunity that's north of the Limpopo. It is a little too early for me to divulge the country, but that is a very, very promising opportunity. And then there are 2 or 3 smaller opportunities that are a little bit further away in terms of our due diligence. So those we'll probably start to look at those in more detail, I'd say 6 months from now.
Tell us about your due diligence process, because looking at renewable energy, huge capital outlays, you've got 74 million at the moment. Is this going to be enough, and how do you make a decision that this has ticked the right box and therefore we're going to go ahead with this particular project?
Yep, good question with lots of facets to the question.
Yes.
All right, so energy is by and large a very regulated industry. So first and foremost, you have to make sure that what you're buying checks all of the boxes from a regulatory perspective, that the licenses are in place, that all of the necessary competent persons reports have been done. That in and of itself is quite a long checklist to get through, and that takes a lot of analysis.
Is this something just specific to the African continent, or if you were
globally.
to make a globally? Okay.
Globally, energy is regulated everywhere. Okay. Obviously, some countries are less regulated, and it's a much more open economy. I mean, just to give you an example, say for instance, California, you can readily trade electricity on the grid, whereas South Africa, we realize that's nowhere even close to happening. But then you take a look in Africa, Nigeria, there's a massive deficit in terms of what the state generation company is capable of delivering and what corporates are consuming. And basically that gap is made up of a combination of independent power producers and just people with generators. Uganda, for example, they have a number of independent power producers. So you've got varying levels of regulatory frameworks within which you need to operate. Also, the nature and the source of the energy. We're not only talking about power in terms of electricity. We are looking at any form of energy that will deliver kinetic energy, i.e. movement, motion, thermal heating. And there are a number of opportunities out there that fit that bill. With regards to 74 million, is that enough for the first acquisition? You know, we weren't out there to go and raise all of the capital on the on the listing today.
Yes.
The intention is to get a little bit of capital on the board, bring awareness to the asset class, and we've got some very supportive shareholders who are very interested in the space. And with the SPAC, one of the rules is that the first acquisition gets voted on by the shareholders, not the board. So in this case, the shareholders get to see the due diligence that we've done. They get to see the offer that gets put on the table, and they get to approve the transaction. Obviously, if they approve the transaction, given the fact that they were the first investors in the SPAC, they have right of first refusal to then add the additional capital needed.
Okay. Stefano, thank you so much for coming in. Congratulations once again. We look forward to speaking to you once again to track the performance of your company.
Thank you very much.
That was Stefano Marani. He's the Chief Executive of the newly listed company on the AltX Renergen.